Hello, and welcome to our second session of the breakout sessions for the UNCP New Teacher Support Program Symposium. And I just want to start us off by reminding you all that there is a website that is available for use during this symposium and also for later use. We are recording this session, and after today's event, the team will be working to get these links embedded into the website so that we can provide that with your certificate when you get that by email, and you'll be able to access any session that you were unable to attend. So I have begun the recording, and I'd also like to share that during this process that we are promoting the hashtag and the use hashtag Learn Grow Lead 20 with Twitter, and there will be a prize at the end for the most tweets. So I want to remind you all of virtual norms. We are in this new normal now, and many of you have already been a part of quite a bit of virtual experiences. And so just want to make sure that microphones are muted when you're not speaking. We encourage you actively present. Many of our presenters have done a great job of planning some interactive opportunities, and we encourage you to do that. And then also know that this is our new normal, so let's be vulnerable and let's provide grace for all of us, because we are in an age where sometimes technology can benefit us and sometimes it can hinder us. So just know that we will be patient and vulnerable to anything that occurs that we may need to support during this session. I will be monitoring the chat feature to offer information to you, support, or if you'd like to ask any questions during the session. I'm very, very excited to be able to welcome our two presenters for this session. Our session is entitled Maintaining Effective Communication with Colleagues and Parents. And our team that encompasses the entire state of North Carolina New Teacher Support instructional coaches is made up of some amazing folks that I learned from daily. And today you have the pleasure of hearing from Mr. Bradley Sasser and Miss Sandy Corbett, who serve in the ECU region as new teacher support instructional coaches. Bradley comes to us with English language arts background. He became a level 1 trainer for the Keys to Literacy program, and he's worked with a number of trainers in districts to begin strengthening literacy, and has been very instrumental in supporting new teachers in his area as an instructional coach for the UNC Chapel Hill region. And then Sandy, of course, has much of a similar educational background experience and has taught 7th grade language arts for 5 years in Pitt County. She then moved to Dare County and taught 7th grade language arts and social studies for 5 years. So she started working as an instructional coach for the North Carolina New Teacher Support Program in September of 2017. So welcome, and thank you all for giving your time today. We are just so appreciative of you being able to offer some of your expertise, and your information will be greatly appreciated by all in the UNCP region.
Thank you, Jamie. Bradley and I are both very excited to share some information with you guys today on maintaining effective communication with your colleagues and parents. So in going ahead and getting right into it, our outcomes today will be that you, the participants, will explore best practices related to maintaining constant and consistent communication with both your colleagues and parents, and you will identify tools to use in communication or in communicating in the physical classroom setting and or remote learning environment, because we don't really know right yet what we're going to be going to in the fall. So the first thing we're going to do is have you interact a little bit with something called dot storming. If you will go to this bit.ly, which Jamie is going to put in the chat, you're going to answer the question, why is it important to maintain communication in today's learning environment? So what we would like for you to do when you go here and is in this top corner. You're going to join by putting your name should be there. And then you're going to add a card. And you're going to tell me why is it important to maintain communication in today's learning environment. And with this card, it will come in as anonymous. Once the comments are put in with the card, you have the option as a participant to click on this little dot to vote for it if you agree with it, and you can also make comments. So this is something you can use in your own classroom. Someone said that it is important to maintain communication in today's learning environment because it provides support for others and you get support for yourself. We have relied on being able to send physical items home with students for a long time, but now we don't know that we have that luxury. So we need to be able to find virtual means of communication that meet the needs and to keep transparent communication to support the student at all levels. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to go back. Oh, wrong presentation. We're going to go back to our presentation this morning. Thank you for participating in that bit.ly. The first part, we have two parts today to our presentation. The first part is pretty much informational, and the second part is going to be some different resources that you can use to help support having effective communication as an educator, as an educating leader. So the first part is, what exactly is effective communication? First off, it is professional. And I wanted to share the definition of professionalism because I think it's important, number one, but it speaks to the fact that we are, as professionals, we are, as educators, we are professionals. So professionalism is the competence or skill expected of a professional. We work in an environment where maybe we don't always feel like we're very important, but we are, and we need to write and communicate that way. So your correspondence with colleagues and parents should be written in a professional manner. So at the beginning in your subject line, you're going to convey your purpose for writing. So what is it? Very concisely, what are you writing about? Begin your email or correspondence with the name and title of the intended audience. So it might be important to know if someone is, a doctor, Dr. Corbett, or if someone is, if you want to refer to them as Mr. or Mrs. Your font style should be pretty basic. Avoid playful and colorful fonts. So I typically stick with Arial or Times New Roman, but something else that you might like, you could. Your notes or your email needs to be short, concise. That is much better than a very long email. Please steer away for emoticons or bitmojis, even though I included my bitmoji here, because it seems a bit more professional without that. Checking your spelling and grammar is extremely important, and Bradley's going to share a really wonderful tool that you can use to help with that. And you also want to make sure that you're using appropriate salutations. Are there any questions before I move on? Okay. All right, so what I wanted to do here is I wanted to share with you an example of a communication of email to a parent. So in my subject line, we have the very concise subject of Ashley's math grade. So I'm going to read this, even though I know you can read it yourself. Mr. Jordan, good morning. I'm contacting you regarding Ashley's math grade. Recently, her assignments haven't been turned in on time, if at all. Her grade is currently a 74. I've shared my concern with Ashley, and there is a plan in place to help get her back on track. She will be meeting with me twice a week during SOAR time to make sure she's caught up and understands all assignment expectations. Please check PowerSchool for an overview of Ashley's assignments, and I've included a link to PowerSchool. In addition, I've added you as a parent in Google Classroom. You should receive an email as an invitation to join. If you have questions or would like to speak further, please let me know. And then the salutation of best, and then my name, first and last. There's a couple things within this that are important to note. So making sure that, again, that it's concise and to the point. Making sure that you add exactly what the email is about, providing, and we'll get this in a second, but providing exactly what the person needs to have in order to kind of reply or move forward. Are there any questions about the professionalism of the email?
Sandy, in the chat box, I just wanted to mention that Ms. Walker stated that she thinks that the points that you are making are so important because many of us who have even been in education for quite some time may have forgotten some of that, and it was a great refresher for me as well. So this example is pertinent.
No, absolutely. And I think, so in working on this presentation, to go back and kind of look at, we are communicating so much more now by email or texting. And as a professional in that manner, you want to make sure that you're not using slang, you're not using texting kind of words like, instead of YOU for you, using the you. So just trying to be as professional as you can in whatever manner it is that you are contacting someone. In moving on, and we're going to touch a little bit back on some of the things in this email, but effective communication is also timely and informational. So timely, this is something that was very important when I was in the classroom, and I have kept up with it, is checking those emails regularly. And it is very difficult in the classroom because you are so busy. So try to make sure that you're setting aside a time or times during your day for reading and replying to emails. It is best to do it before the end of the day because most of the time you're going to get emails within the day that are relevant to something that's happening at the end of the day or the next period. So just try to, glance at it here and there, and you will see and know which ones that you maybe need to reply to quickly or attend to. Your timely responses. So getting your email responses back or replies back to the person who emailed you or called you or texted you within, I like to say 12 hours, but sometimes it's impossible. So within 24 hours, as long as you reply, but making sure that you do that in a quick manner. The other part that is extremely important with communication, being effective and efficient, is being informational. So find out the answers to the question the person has asked before replying. So in the email that I drafted to this parent about Ashley's grade in math, I made sure to mention that she and I had already spoken and come up with a plan or came up with a plan to move forward, letting the parent know that I do have something in mind that I would like to do to help this student. If they have emailed you with a question, before you reply, try your best to find out the answer and reply with that answer. Be factual, trying to stay away from opinions, so be as factual as you can. And then if there's an attachment that you should or could include, if it is appropriate, do that. So if there's an example of a student work, a worksheet, or some sort of assignment that you've given out, take a little picture of it and send it as an attachment, or a link to PowerSchool, or a link to your Google Classroom, or whatever it may be, so the parent has access to it and does not have to look for it themselves. It's very helpful. And again, you seem more professional and competent because you know what they need. Are there any questions about this? Timely and informational? Okay. And this last part is that you document the communication that you have with parents and colleagues. So for parents, making sure that you compile your communication to encompass the details of that conversation, it will save you. There will be times that, a parent may say, she never called me, or I was unaware that my student was failing in her class, but you know that you contacted that parent or someone that would be a guardian. So including things within your communication log, like the date, the name of the student, who you contacted, what was the topic of conversation, and how did you get in touch with them? Did the person that you contact reply or answer you? And then what did they say? So I wanted to share this communication log example, and then Bradley's going to come back later and give you an example of a resource that is digital that you can use. But when I was a teacher, I like to have, actually had one of these kind of printed out and put it in a notebook because it was easier to get to. But you can absolutely do this digitally. You can do it using Google Docs like I have, or use an Excel spreadsheet. But here, this is the correspondence or the documentation for the student that I wrote the note about for the math grade. So the date, the student's name, the person that was contacted, which is Mr. Jordan. I contacted through email, and then a quick little synopsis of what it was about. He did reply on the date by phone, and this is what he wanted to discuss or did discuss with me. Here's an example of maybe someone who did not reply. So there has been no reply. This was sent on 9/3, no reply that same day. And then on 9/5, I revisited instead and said, no, still no response. This just saves you and helps you to just document everything that you do and have done for the students so that you can keep everyone involved, every stakeholder informed. All right, for your colleagues, it is also so important to document things that you discuss with colleagues. So I have had many colleagues to share that they will keep folders in their Gmail. So if you work on a team of teachers, like if you're on the 6th grade team, or if you're a 3rd grade teacher and all the 3rd grade teachers keep, that you correspond with them, just keeping a folder for that. A folder for your administrators, a folder that maybe comes directly from the district, and then other staff. It's also important to document on paper or digitally any conversations that you have that has pertinent information. So if you've asked a question about what to do with a student who maybe is giving you some trouble in class, write down what the information is that has been given by your colleague. Any occurrence that you may have where you feel uncomfortable having a conversation with a colleague, just documenting, it just saves you. It really does protect you from many things. So you also know with dating that when that conversation was held. So have an effective communication. A lot of that is making sure that you are prepared when you have another conversation with a colleague or another conversation with a parent. You can always look back and say, we spoke on this date and this is what was said. All right. If there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and move to part 2.
Sandy, I'll just share with you a little bit of information that is in the chat box.
Okay.
Just an agreement that we want people to reply in a timely manner. So, of course, if we expect that from others, then we want to be mindful of that on our ends. And then also thinking about the documentation that you shared and how supportive that could be for Title I schools as evidence of parent engagement.
Yes. Thank you for that, Jamie. All right, Bradley, take it away.
All right. For the last half, we're going to look at some specific tools for actually maintaining effective communication. The tools we've chosen, we try to choose items that were free and available to all. Some of them may have paid upgrades, but everything I'm getting ready to go over and to show you for the most part is free and available to you today. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that a lot of our school districts in the area are using platforms for communication that they have actually purchased. They've actually purchased contracts, and there is an expectation that teachers use these platforms to contact students, contact parents, share student work, things of that nature. The two most popular that we see in a lot of the districts in our area are Seesaw and Class Dojo. Now, we're not going to actually demonstrate these today because, for the most part, if a district is using them, they're providing additional training probably here soon as the beginning of the year grows closer. But do know that these platforms out there are available and they can also be used even if your district does not use them. But we're going to show you some alternatives now to these platforms. One platform that has become very popular in the most recent pandemic is ClassTag. If you're not familiar with ClassTag, it is a free platform that now integrates fully with Google Classroom, and it's specifically geared towards maintaining contact with parents. Like, that is its full purpose. Now, it has additional features, but the group behind ClassTag, they designed it to increase parent engagement with teachers. It has features like classroom announcements, scheduling parent-teacher conferences. You can actually send assignments to parents for students to complete or to show them what their student actually did on that assignment. So you can actually pull straight from Google Classroom into ClassTag and send these pieces out. It also allows you to produce weekly newsletters, either for select students or for the entire class, and so much more. The other great thing about ClassTag is that if you are a teacher and you are actively using it pretty much, each week, and you're using it to the level of engagement that ClassTag wants to see, they will actually send you free classroom supplies donated by the sponsor groups who helped basically build this program. So there's a lot of perks behind it. It looks, when we show it to you in just a few minutes, it's going to look a little bit more elementary, but it can definitely be used for middle school and high. So that's just some basic information about ClassTag. Next, there's also a platform called Canva, and Canva is more or less basically used to create graphics. So it's a way to share information with students, parents, and colleagues, but in a more lively yet still professional manner. It makes things more engaging. So, like, you can create newsletters, posters, presentations, infographics, social media posts, lesson plans, photo collages, flyers. I mean, the sky is the limit. There is a basic free version. There are paid versions. There's also a Canva for Education version as well, and that you can get access to once your school web address is verified. So that is Canva and some of the possibilities behind it. Now, when we talked earlier about professional tone, and maintaining that tone in our correspondence with whoever it may be, there are tools available to us that we can use to make sure that we maintain that tone. And one of them, and probably the best, is Grammarly. It's a free online writing assistant, and it's available in one or two ways. You can actually go to the Grammarly website, download the app for your computer, or, and my preferred version is, if you're a Google Chrome user and someone who uses Google Classroom, Gmail more frequently than any other platform, just use the Google Chrome extension. To me, that is the easiest and best way to get access to the program. And this program, it monitors your writing and documents and emails, and it looks for grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes, and the tone of writing. It uses little emojis to kind of let you know what your overall tone is, especially when sending emails. Is it friendly? Is it professional? Um, or sometimes it'll give you a thumbs down that you're coming across a little maybe too blunt, and your message may be muddled. So Grammarly has all of these features built into it. And once again, as I'm going to show you here in just a moment, it's a very simple tool to install. Sandy mentioned earlier about the timeliness needed in responding to emails, be it from a parent, student, or administrator, or another teacher. There is also another app or extension that's built in for Google called Boomerang. Now, the one we're going to actually look at today is Boomerang for Gmail, because most of us as educators, especially those of us who are using Google Classroom, we're using a basic Gmail email address. And so Boomerang can be added right to our regular Gmail, and it gives us more functions that are normally there. It allows us to schedule emails. It will send us a reminder if no one ever responds to our email. Um, it will basically update us on who clicks on our attachments, or it'll tell us if they never clicked on them. And it'll actually send us the email letting us know that, hey, you sent this email with an attachment an hour ago. They opened the email, but they never clicked the attachment, which probably contains, the most pertinent information. It too has built-in features that will analyze the tone of the email. It also lets you pause your inbox and set office hours so that you only get your messages at certain times of day, um, whenever it's best for you, especially if you have classes for the first 3 hours. So you can set it where no emails come in until, like, let's say after 10 o'clock. So all of your emails from 8 to 10 are paused, but as soon as 10 a.m. hits, your emails are in your inbox, ready for you to look at during your planning period. Then we also want to talk about positivity. And one of the easiest ways to maintain positivity in the virtual world and even in the physical classroom is by using a Kudo board. Once again, free online platform. It allows you to showcase student work. It allows students or parents to also post positive comments about classmates or their own child. It's just a great way to build some positivity into your classroom. And if we are in an environment where we cannot be in the classroom with our students, this is the best and most possible way to actually demonstrate how we can share student work and show what they've accomplished. And so Sandy here, she's actually showing you a Kudo board that was recently created for our program, where we as coaches basically, showed appreciation to each other, to what we've done throughout the year. And as you can see, you can add pictures, you can add GIFs, the sky's the limit. And then you also, the most importantly, you post those positive comments to let everyone know what they've done and how much you appreciate them. So I want to actually take a moment, and I'm going to walk you through using some of these tools. So the first one we want to look at is Canva. Canva, as I said, allows you to basically design multiple features. When you log in, you have access to templates for different activities, like if you want to make a social media post, if you want to do something personal for business related marketing. Here is the education tab that you can see. You can make worksheets, certificates, storyboards, bookmarks, whatever it is you like. So let's just look at, let's say we want to, make a lesson plan. They have lesson plan templates already made for you to choose from. You can find one that works best for you. Notice they have some, that are geared towards certain areas, but these are all editable. So if you see one that you like, but it maybe says kindergarten on it, you can choose this template and then actually edit and take kindergarten off and put whatever it is that you need. So this is just, a basic look at what lesson plan templates are available. And now some of these templates, they may be geared towards lesson plans, but maybe you're looking at this one and you think this would be a great reading log and you want to go in and change and or compare and contrast. So you can turn these into activities. Notice here you have a weekly lesson plan that's more or less built like a calendar. This would be a great way to actually use this template to share the basically expectations for student work throughout the week. So they know that on Monday, these are the activities they're expected to complete, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so forth. I think it's going to be pertinent to let students know kind of in advance what the week is going to look like, especially if we're in a situation where students maybe only come to us on a hybrid schedule and we only see them twice a week in the physical classroom. So going ahead early and letting them know exactly what's needed throughout the week may be a good way of maintaining that communication with them and with the parents as well to know exactly what's going on in the classroom. We can also look at storyboards for our activities. These may be a great way to help some of our visual learners understand what we're trying to communicate, the step-by-step process of how they need to maybe access something in Zoom or WebEx or Google Meets, whatever we're using. Perhaps we create a storyboard for how a new student accesses something in Google Classroom or Canvas or Seesaw, whatever platform that it may be. So you can kind of get an idea here that Canva offers you a lot of ideas. Canva is one of those platforms that to become comfortable with it, you simply kind of have to go in and kind of start playing around and kind of generating and working on some of those ideas that you may have. I think that often is what's best. Start looking at the templates that are available to you and let that kind of be your inspiration as to what you may want to do with them. Any questions or comments about Canva?
Bradley, we don't have any questions in the chat box, but we have some comments that are very positive in appreciation for you sharing in terms of just needing to do more of this to provide visuals and just the versatility of them. And I think someone may have been trying to actually comment as I was chiming in.
All right, if there's nothing else about Canva, I want to show you next Grammarly. So first, before I show you the next two tools, since they are built around Google extensions, I want to show you how you access the App Store in Chrome to download these extensions. So hopefully you can see my cursor. I've made it a little bit larger, so hopefully it's easy to follow on the screen. And in the left-hand corner of Chrome on your toolbar, there is a little section that says Apps. When you click it, it shows some of the most basic apps commonly associated with Google and the G Suite. And you have the Web Store. And you have extensions, themes, various things you can search for. So Grammarly is an extension. And so we simply type in Grammarly, we hit enter, and here it is, Grammarly for Chrome. And when you look for extensions, usually they give you some pictures. They kind of give you an overview of what it does. You can see reviews. Normally, as you see here, since I already have it added, it says remove from Chrome. But if you don't have this extension, you'll see a button that says install. You'll simply click on that extension and follow the steps and the prompts, and you just simply give it access to your Gmail account. There shouldn't be any issues with that. Notice we've got over 10 million users using Grammarly for Chrome right now. And basically, it will add the extension right up here into the upper right-hand portion of your toolbar. And so when you see the little G here in green, you'll know that Grammarly is activated. The same can be true. In a moment, I'll show you Boomerang. So if you search Boomerang and you hit enter, right there at the top, you see Boomerang for Gmail. You would follow the same steps. You would hit install, and it'll give them access. For the time being, though, we want to look at Grammarly. So I've already created a basic Google document here. And I don't know if you can see, but at the bottom right-hand side, you see a little red 3. This is the Grammarly icon inside of the document to let me know that it is working. And what it is telling me is here is that I have 3 possible errors. And so we can see here. So I typed earlier, how are you doing today? And notice I put a period after the end, and it's letting me know, hey, that needs to be a question mark because you're asking a question. I simply click it, it corrects it. Hope you're good. Once again, that's an incorrect statement. So I hope you're well. And then as you go on, you know that I've been reading up on various tech tools, and I just wanted to share some with you. Once again, I can change, it will correct it. And now you'll notice my little icon is spinning. And when you see the red G, that means that your writing is correct. So it will also tell you if you're being a little bit too wordy, you're going on a little bit too long. And you'll see it here in a moment when I do an email. So for the email, it does look a tad bit different. So briefly, I'm going to come here and I'm going to access my normal university email. And when I do a meeting, I can start typing my email. Now, as I scroll down, you can see a little bit now that I have no grammar mistakes, and you can see the handshake. The handshake basically means that this is a clear, brief email. This emoji will change depending upon the tone of your email. When it's a more lively, more friendly, less formal, you usually get like a peace sign, something like that. So this kind of shows you, here you go. So it pulls up this little chart here. The handshake, you've got a very confident tone. If it's very fun, very playful, very optimistic, you get the peace sign. And then you see for friendly. When the tone is not one of these 3, you just kind of get like a little red mark here letting you know that, hey, you may want to change some of the wording to maybe get the tone that you're looking for. So that is just a quick basic overview of Grammarly. Are there any questions about Grammarly and how it works? And once again, this will help us with that, that tone, being professional, making sure that we are communicating effectively with others.
Bradley, in the chat, there were some comments about Grammarly being amazing and helpful because of making sure that the emails are well written, and then thinking about how we live in a fast-paced world and we're always multitasking. And so this is a great tool to use so that we don't make those careless mistakes. And then there was a question about, do I click on the app when the email, do I click on the app, then the email, or is it automatic? And then, of course, Sandy responded that it is automatic.
Yeah, as long as, so when you have the extension added and it's up here and it's highlighted in green, it's automatically on. And so any sort of document that you use inside of Google Chrome, it will work, and it will actually it'll pop up, it'll be there. And there are sometimes that, like, if you notice right now, it has the word beta over the top of it. This is been in beta testing for quite a while, but uh, from everything I've read and seen, it is sticking around, and they're just doing some extra polish on it to make sure it works fully and effectively. And so it's going to be working as soon as you open it. If there's ever an issue where you don't think it's working and you look down and you maybe don't see the G, but it's up here, if you just hit refresh, normally that will make the G pop up and you know that it is still there running in the background.
That's great to know. And just to reiterate, so even if you're not in a Google um, document development or a Google app of some sort, like you did with the email, it still shows up because you would be in the Chrome
Browser.
right, or browser. Okay.
Yeah. So like earlier when I went to my Outlook email, that's obviously something associated with Microsoft, but because I was accessing it in Google Chrome, that extension for Grammarly was working, and so it was accessing it there too as well. And so it which usually appears, it'll appear in Google Forms. It'll appear in Google Slides. Slides seems to be the place where it's the most hesitant, I would say. And I have noticed that if you get multiple people working on a document together, and if the majority of them aren't running Grammarly, sometimes yours won't actually work until everyone exits and it's just you sitting there, and then you can kind of look and see if there's any additional mistakes that you may want to go back in and correct. So that's the only time I've ever had an instance where Grammarly wasn't fully functioning, and that's, like I said, when multiple people were on the same document, and I was the only one who I believe actually used Grammarly.
And that's great in terms of like maybe using it as an editing feature after the content has been developed, maybe a suggestion there, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So I want to show you also Boomerang. So this here is my basic Gmail account. And once again, the Boomerang extension, it's up here on my toolbar, so it is working. Normally, you would not see a pause button if in your Gmail account. You would just see the compose, and that's it. So this lets me know Boomerang is working. It also appears right here on my Gmail screen. And this tool has many features. And for teachers who are going to be extremely busy in the school year and they don't necessarily know what the day may look like, I think it has some features that will prove useful in scheduling and responding to emails. But also, too, I think it has some features that are very beneficial for teachers to maintain that quality of life where you're not necessarily being bombarded with so much communication, maybe in the evening when you do need to take some time for yourself and kind of like turn off just for a little while. So first, when we go to compose, you can notice here now I have an additional toolbar at the bottom of my email, and we have the options for send later. And so you can actually click this and you can schedule. So I can go ahead, compose the email, choose to whom I want it to go to, and then say, I want this to be sent 4 hours from now, or I want this sent tomorrow morning, 2 days, and 2 weeks. I can schedule an email out as far as 1 month in advance if I so choose. So that this is an option, or you can specifically pick the date and the time, click confirm, and you've scheduled your email. This is great if you know that you're going to have to send out an assignment to students who are going to be at home on Tuesday morning, and you want to go ahead and get it ready, but you don't want to send it to them today. You want to wait a little while, and so you want maybe to show up in their inboxes at 8 a.m. tomorrow when the school day starts. So you can schedule it to go out at that time to those students or to staff members, whomever. Now, you also have the option to Boomerang. And the reason this app, this extension is called Boomerang, is because it will send information back to you. So I can choose to boomerang this email in 2 days if I get no reply. If no one replies, it will send me an email back saying, hey, you sent this email and you wanted a response to it. Well, it's been 2 days, no one has. Or if not clicked. So if the email goes to someone's inbox and they never click it, you can schedule it to send you a reminder so that you can resend. Same thing if it's not opened, or just regardless. And you can also, when you send emails, you can go into settings, and just you can get all of this information, all of this data, so that you can remain in contact. So when you contact that parent on Monday, if by Wednesday, if you choose in 2 days, no reply, so then on Wednesday, you're going to get an email at the exact same time that you sent it, and you'll know, hey, I contacted Sarah's parent and didn't get a response. I need to make contact again. Or maybe I need to change my method of contact. Maybe the email's not working. Let me get a phone number and see if I can contact that way. So this will help you keep up with everything. It'll help you maintain your own contact and things like that. And make sure you're contacting and doing what's necessary. I know we're running out of time, so I want to show you class tag. The other feature of Boomerang that I think is very important is you can pause your inbox. And so basically, I can pause it to where, let's say, I don't want emails from 8 a.m. to noon. And I can send an automatic response that says, hey, afternoon, I will be responding to emails. I can also schedule when I want emails to actually come to me. So I can say emails come in at 8:55, at 1:35, and 4:20. And so all of my emails will then show up at those 3 times. So if something is sent at 10 o'clock, I'll get that at 1:35 when I have time to sit down and actually respond to it. And you can set exceptions. If it's from certain people, you want it to go ahead and come through and kind of, break through the pause. So that is an option. I think this is a great for teachers who are going to be basically seeing constant emails from parents and students, and you maybe don't want them to be popping up on your screen as you're teaching or in a Zoom meeting. So maybe pausing it for that little bit of time and then going back in and accessing them will be, very beneficial. And lastly, real quick, class tag. This is the platform I told you about that was built specifically for parent communication. You set up your account, it's free, and then you have a directory. And so you can set up the student's name, their parent. If you have their email address, you can access them through email. If you have their phone number, you can send them a text. Now, the idea behind ClassTag is that when you contact the parent, they'll set up an account so that they can then view activities such as events that you're having in your classroom, volunteer requests, to do items, parent-teacher conferences. You can create and send newsletters from ClassTag. You can just do so very much. You can basically send in assignments. You can show those there. Remember, I said this integrates with Google Classroom. The thing about ClassTag that is better than most, so let's say that a parent never sets up their own profile on this. If you still have their email or their phone number, you can still push these out to them. The other thing that this does, I won't show it to you now. It's there for you to explore. But let's say that I know in my directory that this student here, the parents only speak Spanish. I can go into the profile and I can then add parents and I can add methods of contact that will translate all of my contact into the native language of the parents. And that way they always are able to communicate. And if they send me something back, ClassTag will then reverse the translation and we'll put it to where I can understand it. That way I can maintain contact with those parents for our ESL students. I think that's a huge benefit. And also, too, the other thing I was saying is if they never set up the profile, and let's say they don't have a smartphone, just a standard regular phone that receives basic text, you can still send basic text from this platform to those parents to maintain contact, and it will house a record of everything you send out to each parent for each student, as long as you have the class open. So that is the basics for what we wanted to share today. If you have any questions, I know we've got to hop out of the meeting, but any questions that we can clarify real quick for you?
Bradley and Sandy, thank you so much. This was wonderful. You have both shared some very relevant information. I would like to just direct participants to the link in the chat box to return to the whole group session at 11:30 in the web link that is listed in the chat. And we really appreciate your support. Folks, I encourage you to use some time this summer to practice some of these tools that the presenters have shared and determine which ones best meet your needs. As I know, as I was listening, so many of them I want to go and learn more about. So thank you both very much. And again, thank you for supporting UNCP and our Beginning Teacher Leadership Symposium. You were great.
Thank you.